Hello everyone, as I told you to start structuralism today. Let's start without wasting time. Structuralism. The first of all, we must know what is structuralism. The word can be broken into two words: structure and ism. Now, what is structure? If we go to the dictionary meaning of the word, we find framework, draft, design, appearance, style, manner, etc. Structure means design or framework or style or manner, and ism means trend. Many students often confuse structuralism with formalism and use the word interchangeably with the form. The reason is obvious because when we search dictionary meaning of form, we find style, manner, external appearance. So form means also manner and external appearance. Structure means manner, appearance. Now if we compare lexical meaning of both idioms, we find that both words are almost same. Now the question arises, when formalism was already there, then why structuralism came? Is there any difference? Means if we go into the dictionary meaning, formalism is same just like structuralism. If we try to know the meaning of structuralism, there is one critic, his name is R.S. Crane, a leader of Chicago School of Critics, made a distinction between form and structure. He said, form of a literary work is a Greek term dynamis, means the particular working or emotional power that the composition is designed to effect, which functions as its shaping principle. So R.S. Crane said that the literary the form means dynamis. Means if we go into the Greek term, we will find dynamis, and dynamis means emotional power. Emotional power which make it possible uh, for any work or creation. The formal principle controls and synthesizes the structure of a work. Structuralism is a movement of thought in the human sciences. So it is not formalism, it is structuralism because it controls and synthesizes the structure of a work. Controls and synthesizes the structure of work. Structuralism is a movement of thought in the human sciences. Yes, he said that it is a movement of thought. The in Latin origin means a mode of construction. Yes, actually here the meaning of structure is little bit different. That's why structure means mode of construction. It divides a world into two units, the visible and palpable or observable. That is called surface structure. And the invisible or underlying, that is called deep structure. So surface structure and deep structure. There are two types of structure. Surface में visible structure which we are knowing, which we can see. And deep structure actually works behind surface structure, and we get the meaning because of deep structure. A structure has three characteristics. So in this way, a structure has three characteristics. First characteristic is a wholeness. A system functions as a unit. Yes, although there is a big system, but that big system works like a unit. Like a unit means a small thing. Transformation, a system is dynamic and capable of change. Yes, this system automatically and time to time used to change. And self regulation, transformation do not lead beyond system. Yes, self regulation, we talk about self regulation and transformation. It does not go beyond the system, it remains into the system. So it means structuralism is talking about structure, and structure here R.S. Crane has tried to make us understand than many other writers that structuralism is not minor, not any draft, but here this theory actually wants to say that it is about construction of something. So what is constructing this theory? This theory is constructing meaning. The purpose of this theory is how we get meaning, how we understand anything. So one writer has suggested that there are three elements of structure. One is wholeness, second is transformation, and third is self-regulation. Now, if we go into the history of structuralism, so T.S. Eliot anticipated structuralism in 1919 when he published Tradition and Individual Talent. Yes, so structuralism, although it came very late, about 1960s, but it was anticipated in 1919 by T.S. Eliot. What T.S. Eliot had said: no poet, no artist of any art has his complete meaning alone. T.S. Eliot has said this, that no poet, no artist of any art has his complete meaning alone. And structuralists are also saying the same thing. What structuralists are saying? That no word has its complete meaning alone. Suppose we say home, so home has not its complete meaning alone. Means if we want to understand home, we must go deep. We understand because we are familiar with the structure, that's why we understand the meaning. So here T.S. Eliot said that no poet, no artist of any art has its complete meaning alone. His significance is his appreciation of a relation to the dead poets and artists. Yes, means present poets have their meaning in relation to the dead poets. Not their, they do not have any individuality, or they do not have any identity alone without any relation to the dead and great poets and artists. You cannot value him alone, you must set him for contrast and comparison. Yes, anyone, any writer or anything, any word, you cannot understand alone. Means if you want to understand any word, any person, any writer, you must put him either for the contrast of someone or comparison of someone. For example, suppose I say good. So how will you understand good? Good you will understand in contrast. Contrast means just opposite word, bad. If I say day, so you must know what is night. If I say man, you must know what is woman. In this way, if I say poor, you must know what is rich. So we get contrast. If I say palace, so what is palace? So you will go into similar words, that is your comparison. Palace means home, a place where people live in, but it is not home. So we do comparison, it is like home but different from home. So means similar things, we go into comparison. So means no word and even no writer has its complete meaning. We must put words and writers into contrast and comparison. Among the dead, so here because T.S. Eliot is talking about writers, so T.S. Eliot wants to say that we must put them for contrast and comparison among the dead. Dead means great poets and artists who are now dead. How? Because if you talk, if you read any writer, you will find the influence of some other writer. For example, Milton was very much influenced by Spencer. Wordsworth was very much influenced by Milton. In the same way, means every writer is influenced by some other writer and tried to copy. So there is no originality. They get idea and they take a style of those writers whom they love. I mean this as a principle of aesthetic, not merely historical criticism. Artistic structure is not limited to a single poem, nor even to the complete works of a single author. Artistic structure is the symbol, a system of the whole of literature, and each piece has a distinct place in the whole. If literature has a system, criticism also has a system. So T.S. Eliot said that literature has a system. Now system word he has used, and system is very much similar to the structure. Structure also says that there is a big system working behind any word, word. That's why we get meaning of that word. So criticism also has a system. Now, so this was the history. Now how it started, structuralism? Structuralism came to the fore in France during 1950s. In the decade of 1950, structuralism came. Where it came first time? France. Remained a strong force by 1970s, and from the decade of 1950 it remained a very strong force by the decade of 1970. However, the use of term structuralism to define an approach to literary analysis first appears in 1928 paper by Roman Jakobson, was then in Czechoslovakia, and Yuri Tanianov, the Prague School, which flourished from 1926 until 1948, and Moscow Tartu School in Russia. So these terms and these writers must be explained in order to make you understand. So now we are knowing that structuralism came in France. It came in the decade of 1950, and it remained a strong force by 1970, in the decade of 1970. Now, the first time it was defined by Roman First time it was defined by Roman Jakobson. It is pronounced as Jakobson, not Jacobson. Jakobson. In 1928. He was at that time Czechoslovakia, and his assistant was Yuri Tyaninov. The Prague school, which flourished from 1926 until 1948. Yes. So these two writers, Roman Jakobson and Yuri Tyaninov, they were member of Prague school. Prague school in those days flourished 1926 to 1948, and this paper published in 1928, means between this 1926 to 1948. And Moscow Tartu school in Russia. Moscow Tartu school. Many times such type of question may come in net examination. So let's try to know who is a Roman Jakobson, because Roman Jakobson is a very important name. He was a Russian. Later he became American. Roman Jakobson was a Russian. Later he became American. He was a linguist, and he was working on phonology. And Yuri Tyaninov was his friend. One more friend was Nikolai Trubetskoy was also his friend, and he developed many revolutionary new techniques for the analysis of linguistic technology, sound system, syntax, morphology, semantics, drawing, so many things. He developed so many things. And Yuri Tyaninov he was also means very famous in Prague school criticism. When we will discuss about Prague school criticism, then you have to remember this name. His full name was Yuri Nikolaevich Tyaninov. He was a Russian, or you may say Soviet writer. He was a literary critic. He was a translator, and he was helping Roman Jakobson, and he was writing biography of Pushkin. Pushkin was a very famous writer. You must have read this name, Pushkin, in Arms and the Men drama. So, and now, what is Moscow Tartu school? What is Moscow Tartu school? Because this school was also a school where so many critics, writers have joined this school, and they were working on structuralism and formalism and many other format of criticisms. So this school came in 1950, in the decade of 1950s, in the Soviet Union, and the writers are those who were members of this school. They were working on literature and culture. They were very much influenced by Ferdinand de Saussure, and they were doing research on the work of Saussure. Here Roman Jakobson, Yuri Tyaninov, these two names were very famous. But beside these two names, one name I had already told you, Trubetskoy, and Hazel Maslow. These two names are famous name. These two were also working in Moscow Tattoo School. Moscow Tattoo School tried to develop a kind of theory, and they were working on the terms of Ferdinand de Saussure. What was that term? Signifier. There was another term, signified. So signifier and signified, these two terms they were working on, and they tried to distinguish it. They tried to distinguish between long and parallel, and they studied it properly. And paired system, because signified and signified both things are connected, so this is called paired. So paired system they discuss, and they also means found it in their research that meaning is not a matter of individual element but of relationship between commonplace elements or comparable animals. Means when we get meaning, when we compare or contrast things, it is not individual matter. Means it is not that you cannot get meaning alone by yourself if you do not know the system working behind it. In its early stages, members of the Moscow Tattoo School did intricate analysis of lyric poetry. And in a research in Moscow Tattoo School, they do study of lyrics poetry. And systems working behind lyric poetry. And Moscow Tattoo School was a very famous school because they have interest in Western writers, Western poets, pre-Stalin Russian formalist, and one very famous writer, Mr. Lotman, which we will discuss later, because Mr. Lotman is a very influential structuralist. Mr. Lotman was also member of Moscow Tattoo School. So it means 4 and 5 names I have told you who were members of Moscow Tattoo School, and we will discuss it in detail, Moscow Tattoo School, later. Structuralism was imported from France to America during 1960s. Yes, so we have read that structuralism came in France in 1950, in the decade of 1950, and it came in America in the decade of 1960, and it reached America from France. So when it reached America, who were its members? Its members were Roman Jakobson, Jonathan Culler, Michael Refatre, Claudio Gulen, Gerald Prince, Robert Scholes, others. So Roman Jakobson, we have read about Roman Jakobson. Who are Roman Jakobson? Roman Jakobson was a Russian writer. We have read about it. We have just discussed it. Jonathan Culler. Jonathan Culler is most influential modern critic of structuralism, and we will discuss about him in detail later. Michael Refatre. Michael Refatre is a French literary critic. He was very famous in America for his theories. He died recently in 2006. He died in New York. His very famous work was semiotics of poetry. He was famous for his concept of hypogram and synapses. Michael Rafter was a professor in the University of Johns Hopkins. He also taught in Yale University, Harvard University, Oxford University, Pennsylvania University. And he was also president of Semiotic Society of America. In America, many writers, they made a society named Semiotic Society of America. It was established in 1986. So Semiotic Society of America. Now, he became president in 1986 of this society. Many writers, many famous writers also became president of this society, means Semiotic Society of America. Important names are like Jonathan Culler. Jonathan Culler also became president of Semiotic Society of America. Robert Schools also became president. Now next name is Claudio Gulen. Who is Claudio Gulen? His full name is Claudio Guillem Cahen. He was a Spanish writer. He was born in Paris and he died in Madrid. And because there were some charges against him, that's why he was living in exile. Means he was not living in his country, he was living in exile. He was a professor. Claudio Guillem Cahen was a professor in the University of California and San Diego, Princeton University, Harvard University, and here he met Roman Jakobson. He met Roman Jakobson because he used to visit everywhere. He used to go Germany, Italy, Brazil, so many places. And when he met Roman Jakobson, he came under his influence, and he has already some ideas which he wrote in his book Literature as System. Literature as System is the name of his book. Gerald Prince. Gerald, who is Gerald Prince? Gerald Prince is an American literary theoretician, professor at University of Pennsylvania. Gerald Prince is very famous when you will discuss narratology, because his name is very famous in narratology. Although narratology came from structuralism, that's why we will discuss Gerald Prince also in structuralism. His famous terms, in narratology he has given many famous terms like narrative, like narrativity, like disnarrated, like narrative grammar. He is very famous critic of French literature, and he was visiting professor in the universities of France, Belgium, Italy, Australia, Canada, and so many American universities. Next name is Robert Schools. His full name is Robert E. Schools. He is very famous critic of structuralism. He died recently, just in 2016 he died. He is very famous for his idea of fabulation and metafiction. His idea of fabulation and metafiction, he is very famous for this. He was also a professor in renowned university. He wrote a book, Semiotics and Interpretation. He was famous in his time. He also became president of Semiotic Society of America, just like Rafter and Color were. Robert Schultz was also president of Semiotic Society of America. This society was founded in 1975, and after that means they became president. Other American semiotics was C.S. Peirce, Carl Morris, and Noam Chomsky. Who is C.S. Peirce? Because C.S. Peirce was called legend, means greatest person in America in those days who were working in this field, means linguistics, semiotics. His full name was Charles Sanders Peirce. Yes, it is pronounced as purse, just like purse we carry in our pocket. He was an American philosopher, logician, because he was a professor of mathematics, so he was a mathematician, logician, he was a professor, and he is also known as father of pragmatism. He was very much influenced with Hegel, Kant, and although his influence was all pervasive and pervading, but two professors and who became very famous later, like Umberto Eco and John Dewey. These two professors were blindly following C.S. Peirce. Although he was basically a mathematician, he was not a linguist. He was a mathematician and he was a logician. His main interest was in logic. But he saw logic as the formal branch of semiotics. He got such type of notions in philosophy, logic, semiotics, linguistics, because his father was also a professor of astronomy, and he got this as inheritance. Bertrand Russell used to say that he was the most original minds and the greatest thinker, greatest American thinker. C.S. Peirce has idea. C.S. Peirce has said that logic is a kind of semiotics, a kind of formal semiotics. He said that all this universe is prefused with signs. Sign means symbol, sign. If it is not composed exclusively of signs. He said that every thought, every idea, everything is perfused with sign, S-I-G-N, signs. And this sign process, it processes inquiry. So he divides logic into two parts. First part is speculative grammar, which he says statiology. It means how a sign can become full of meaning. And how a sign behaves in relation to other sign, how a sign combine other sign or collaborate with other sign. And second point First was speculative grammar, second was logical. So this was his means when we will discuss about C.S. Peirce, we will discuss it, because C.S. Peirce was very effective and very important critic of structuralism. Now Charles Morris, the next name is Charles Morris. Charles Morris, who is Charles Morris? Charles, full name Charles W. Morris. He was an American philosopher. He was also a semiotician. He said semiotics is partly due to his desire to unify logical positivism with the behavioral empirism and pragmatism. And he also gave his theory. He says that symbol can be divided into three according to their behavior. Means sign can be divided into three. Who said this? Charles Morris. First is two objects, second is two person, and third is two other symbols. And every symbol has three type of relations with other symbols. He said this. First type of relation is called semantics, second type of relation is called pragmatics, and third type of relationship is called syntactics. And so Noam Chomsky, or you may say Abraham Noam Chomsky, he was also very famous American linguist. Many times he is called father of modern linguistics. He was a professor in the most famous university, that is called MIT in America. And he is also called the founder of cognitive sciences. Many times he was arrested, because in those days American President Nixon was against him and his ideas, because Noam Chomsky was against America. His ideas were always anti-national. I don't know why, but he always has a different view. A different view means always he was thinking that America is doing wrong to other countries. That's why President Nixon tried to arrest him. His view, why he was arrested? Because his views on Vietnam War was against America. He was thinking that this war is actually a kind of American imperialism. And he also used to write about US foreign policy. He wrote about neoliberalism. He wrote about state capitalism. He wrote about the relationship between Israel and Palestine. And many times he was accused of being anti-American. He wrote a book, The Logical Structure of Linguistics Theory, in 1975. And Roman Jakobson, because Roman Jakobson used to come in MIT where he was professor, so Roman Jakobson was his friend. And another big name, Maurice Hale. Maurice Hale was also his friend. So Roman Jakobson and Maurice Hale was friend, because these two were a visiting professor in MIT where he was working. He wrote a book, Syntactic Structures. This is very important book. And a review of B.F. Skinner. This book he has written. Verbal Behavior. This book was written. Aspects of the Theory of Syntax. This book he has written. And Noam Chomsky, because Noam Chomsky is in, if we talk about in 2020, in 2020 he is the most influential living writer of structuralism. He living writer. He also came in 2001. He came in New Delhi, um, and he gave also interview to uh, a very famous anchor, DT Lakdawala. So his ideas were very crucial in developing structuralism. He said syntactic knowledge is inborn. He is different from Color and Morris. He said syntactic knowledge is inborn. Means he gave example of small children, that small children do not know the syntactic relationship. They only know the language and relationship, they know automatically. He said that when we teach language to small kids, means small children, so they get only language, they learn only language, the word. They do not know, because they are not being exposed to the relationship. But because the whole syntactic knowledge, whole syntactic structure remain inbuilt, it remain already in those children. That's why children start speaking those sentences, those words which they have never heard. So this theory means they children many times start speaking those sentences which they means those sentences which were never before being uttered. Never means they speak such words and such sentences which was never been spoken before them. So we will continue this lesson tomorrow. Till then, okay, thank you.